Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday, the 2nd of June, 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the Fair Work Commission today lifted the award rate for 2.4 million workers by 5.75%, the highest amount in decades. Economists and employers immediately warned that the increase in the national award wage rate could trigger higher interest rates, job losses and cuts to hours. The national minimum wage, which affects about 180,000 workers on the lowest rate, will rise by 8.6% to $882.80 a week. The Australian Council of Trade Unions said the decision, which meant up to $51.08 extra a week for entry-level retail staff, was a historic cost of living increase and urged the Reserve Bank not to lift rates to undercut it. Fair Work Commissioner President Adam Hatcher said the panel opted for a below-inflation pay rise for award workers after concerns about entrenching high inflation expectations. Story number 2, the S&P ASX 200 looked like it was in for a strong day this morning, but the Fair Work Commission decision triggered expectations of higher interest rates, and that weighed on the market. So it fell sharply, and then it clawed some of the way back to finish up 0.5% to 7,145 points, which is pretty much where it started the week. The materials sector was the standout today, while more defensive companies like consumer staples, healthcare and telcos were the underperformers. The iron ore producers, which have had a pretty tough week, were the standouts. BHP jumped 3%, Rio Tinto was up 2.6%, while Fortescue Metals Group rose 1.7%. Energy giants Woodside and Santos also rose 1.7%. Coles, Woolworths, Telstra and National Australia Bank were the worst of the large caps. Better mention uranium miner Paladin Energy. It was the best performing stock for the second successive day, up more than 11%. Earlier in the week, it tumbled on the back of speculation that its partly owned mine in Namibia could be partially nationalised. But it released a statement today saying the Namibian government had no intention of seizing any stake in any existing mines, hence the share price surge. Also worth a mention, fixed income markets. Investors are now pricing in a 25 basis point rate hike next week, with several market economists forecasting 2 or 3 more rate rises in coming months. Story number 3, earlier in the week, BHP considered it had underpaid about 28,500 past and present employees. That was worth about $430 million, saying its systems hadn't upgraded to include new legislation from back in 2010. Today it was supermarket giant Coles' turn. It said it will take an additional $25 million provision in relation to the underpayment of staff, more than doubling initial estimates. It's becoming a common occurrence. David Jones and men's fashion retailer Politics agreed this year to pay more than $750,000 in interest and contrition payments after admitting to underpaying thousands of employees $4 million. And back in 2021, Woolworths faced a $420 million blowout in its back pay bill. Story number 4, Bubs Australia today said it's on track to meet all regulatory milestones to allow it to permanently sell in the massive infant formula market in the United States. But sales in Japan remain below expectations. The ASX-listed group is facing a board split, being led by its co-founder Christy Carr and former executive chair Dennis Lin. Today, Bubs said that sales of formula and adult nutrition in the Chinese export market remained below expectations, and revenue in the 3 months to March 31 was down 56%, with the company now facing a build-up of inventory. That's never good news. Bubs' share price today fell almost 3%. And story number 5, the US debt ceiling crisis is over. Well, at least it was resolved this morning with Senate passing the bill, thus averting default. It's taken weeks of negotiation between the Republicans and Democrats, including President Joe Biden, and has roiled financial markets. But this morning, it passed 63 votes to 36 in the Senate. That certainly helped risk assets. We saw that in equity markets here in Australia. The Aussie dollar also jumped as a result. It's now back above 66 US cents. Oil prices were also higher. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 2nd of June, 2023. Michael Thompson, Adam Lang, and I will be back tomorrow morning with a weekend edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.